Welcome to Greek for a Week. I'm glad that you are watching another video. We are looking at the final two verses in this particular paragraph. And this paragraph, again, that we've been working through is chapter 4, verses 1 through 6. This week we're looking at 5 through 6, which will mean next week we will go ahead and diagram verses 1 through 6. And then we'll press on the following week and look at the next paragraph, which would be 7 through 11. And you recall I mentioned a couple weeks ago that really verses 1 through 11 could be one larger paragraph. But that's how I chose to break it up a little bit so that it wasn't such a large paragraph to diagram at the end. So we have in our translation a relative pronoun to begin. So who will give an account to the one who is ready to judge the living and the dead. For in this also the gospel has been preached to the dead, that although they might be judged according to man in the flesh, rather they might live according to God by the Spirit. So as we look at this particular part of the paragraph, again, I mentioned this relative pronoun here, which is hoi. That's a nominative relative pronoun. So it's the subject of the verb here. It's the subject of this verb, give an account, which really points back to, so the relative pronoun points back to verse 3 in reference to the Gentiles. The apadosusin lagon. So this larger verbal form, as well as the use of the accusative logon, that's an idiom. Literally, it means to repay a word, which again, I've decided to smooth that out to say to give an account. This is a third person, plural, future active indicative of apodidomi. Then you have the to. The to is your article that precedes the ekanti, and the ekanti here would be a present active participle, masculine, dative singular of echo. Likely it's a substantival participle, to the one who is, and then of course ready to judge is your infinitive, and that infinitive is an aorist active infinitive of krino. Likely it's an exegetical infinitive, which further defines, if you will, the hetoimos, be ready, and then here finish that out, to judge. Then you have in verse 6, you have the eis tuta, which would indicate purpose. In the guard there would also indicate the grounds or further explanation of the preceding verses. Euangelis the, here is my verbal form, third person singular, aorist passive indicative of euangelizo, has been preached. Your hina here would be purpose. Okay, purpose for the gospel having been preached. And then the sarki here, there's our dative case. The sarki is a dative of place. You're judged, if you will, in the flesh. But lastly, then, I want to make sure the pneumati here is also dative case. But likely, rather than this being space here, okay, I'm going to suggest this is agency here. A dative of agency, basically modifying the word live. That is, you are living by the Spirit as opposed to living in the Spirit. As we chose here the word in with sarki. One more thing I'll make note of, the mende. Remember, mende could be, that construction could be translated on the one hand and then on the other hand. What I chose to do here was basically use although as part of the translation, and then the de would be rather here. So just so you can make note of that for future, that the mende often is that point counterpoint on the one hand, but then on the other hand. So again, hopefully that's helpful. That's verses 5 and 6. We will diagram next week. Have a great week.